Hello Warhammer Explorers, hit subscribe and stay with our legion. Your support is what lets me keep making these crossovers. What if the Emperor of Mankind arrived in Monster Hunter? On the golden throne of terror, the Emperor feels a new song beyond the warp. A wild world full of beasts but almost free of chaos. He sees humans there, tiny and brave, facing monsters the size of cathedrals with steel and bone instead of void ships. He decides he cannot ignore them, because every human soul matters, even in a far-off sky. He tears a narrow path through the warp with his will, sending a shard of himself down that bright, thin wound. The path screams, the Astronomicon flickers, and the shard falls like a golden star toward the Monster Hunter world. The sky above the new world is calm at first. Astera floats on its great wooden frame, half fortress, half airship, held by chains to a giant rock. Hunters hurry along decks and platforms. Palicos weave between their feet with crates and tools. The air smells of salt, cooked meat, and gunpowder. The hunter from the 5th Fleet stands with their handler at the main railing. The hunter is in full armor, a patchwork of monster bone, hide, and metal. Their weapon, a heavy greatsword, rests on one shoulder. The handler leans over the rail with a wide grin, arms spread to the sea. "Another perfect day for a hunt," she says. "Come on, partner, we'll be late for the briefing." She freezes. The wind stops. Far above Astera, the blue sky cracks. It is not clouds. It is not a storm. It is a thin, bright line like someone cut the world with a glowing knife. Golden fire leaks out. The line twists, opens, and becomes a wound in the heavens. The handler grabs the hunter's arm. "Ah, partner, that's new." Alarms ring across Astera. The commander, an old man with a scarred face and sharp eyes, steps out onto the command deck. The admiral, huge and broad with his red coat and anchor spear, joins him. Cannons on the lower deck swing up with a groan of chains. "Report," the commander snaps. The ecological research chief, in his white coat and glasses, pushes up behind him, squinting at the sky. Not a storm, not a dragon. The energy. I've never seen readings like this. The golden wound widens. Something falls from it. At first, it looks like a meteor, a sphere of burning light wrapped in metal plates, trailing a tail of pure gold. Then the light shifts, and shapes move inside it. For a moment, all of Astera sees giants walking in the flame, towering warriors in thick armor, their shoulders wide as doors, their helmets skull-like. They march in rows behind the falling star, then fade. "Giant hunters," the handler whispers, "in metal skin." The meteor screams as it drops. Air burns around it. Birds flee in panicked clouds. In the ancient forest below, an Anjanath lifts its head and roars at the sudden day that is not day. The falling star angles, bends its path in a way a normal rock cannot. It tilts toward Astera. "Cannons ready," the admiral bellows. "If that thing hits us, we're done." The hunter grips the railing. Their fingers tighten on the wood. Down in the forest, the Anjanath charges through the trees, confused and enraged. It bursts out of the jungle at the base of the rock Astra rests on, opening its maw to bathe the supports in flame. If the supports fall, the whole base crashes. The meteor falls between monster and fortress. It hits the ground with a sound like a temple bell the size of a mountain. Light washes over the forest. Trees snap. Rock melts. The Anjanath's fire catches in its throat. When the glare fades, Astera's supports still stand. The Anjanath does not. Its giant body lies in a crater, neck broken, scales charred black. Above it, in the middle of the glowing pit, a single figure stands. He is tall, taller than any human in Astera, but still of human shape. His armor is gold, covered in wings, skulls, and suns. A long cloak flows behind him, though there is no wind. A halo of hard light burns above his head like a small, contained sun. In his right hand is a sword that looks simple and perfect, its edge too bright to see. His left hand is empty, held out as if still bracing a fall. The hunter hears the handler breathe. Who is that? The golden figure lifts his head and looks up at Astera. For a moment, everyone on the decks feels it. His gaze passes over them like a weight. It is not cruel. It is not kind. It is like being seen by the sky itself. Many look away. The Emperor of Mankind has arrived. Gold fades from his armor as he lets his power settle. The world becomes normal again, or close to it. Still, the air around him trembles. His boot crushes a rock to powder as he steps forward, out of the crater. Inside his mind, he feels the pull of terror. He feels the golden throne, the endless tide of souls that feed his half-dead body. He feels the pain of this shard tearing away from the whole. Every breath here is drawn from a broken chest a galaxy away. He ignores the pain. There are humans before him, and they are his. Codex note: the Emperor can project a fragment of his will across realities, but doing so burns fuel meant to keep his main body alive on Terra. The more power he spends here, the dimmer the Astronomicon shines there. Palicos and hunters swarm to the railings, staring down at the glowing pit. "Commander," the ecological chief says quietly, "that energy spike, it shook the Everstream. Elder Dragon levels and more." The commander does not look away from the Golden Man. "Then we'll treat him like an Elder Dragon until we know better." He turns to the Admiral. "Ready the lifts. I want a field team down there. No one fires unless he attacks." The Admiral nods and slams a fist into his chest. "Aye." Minutes later, a lift creaks down to the forest floor. The hunter and handler ride it, along with the field team leader, a calm veteran with a thick beard and sharp eyes. Two more hunters stand ready, weapons drawn but low. A palico clutches the hunter's belt. The lift touches down near the edge of the crater. Heat still rises from the torn earth. The smell of burned monster hangs heavy. The Anjanath's hide sizzles. The Emperor turns to face them. Up close, he is even more terrible. His armor is not just gold. It is covered in tiny markings, symbols, and faces. Each part tells a story of wars far, far away. The hunter cannot read them, but feels their weight. The field team leader steps ahead, sword over his shoulder. "You're standing in hunting grounds of the Research Commission," he calls. His voice is steady. "State your intent." The Emperor studies him for a heartbeat. His eyes are dark, but there is sunfire far behind them. When he speaks, his voice is deep and clear, and it seems to echo inside their bones. "I am the Emperor of Mankind," he says. "I have come to guard my species. No human under my sight will fall if I can prevent it." The handler's jaw drops. "Mankind, like all of us. All humans," he says simply, "across all the stars." His gaze travels over the forest canopy, the sky, Astera hanging above. "This world is different, but you are still mine." The hunter shifts their grip on their greatsword. They do not know this man. They know monsters. But their instinct is strange. Not to swing, but to kneel. The palico does so without thinking. "Mujesti," it whispers. The field team leader forces himself to stand tall. "Commission will want to hear this," he says. "Come with us. No sudden moves. These lands are fragile." A faint smile touches the Emperor's lips. "I have broken worlds," he says. "I will tread lightly." He steps up out of the crater. Each step leaves a faint, glowing footprint that fades after a second. The ground seems to bend away from his weight, not crack. He walks like someone who knows he could crush everything but chooses not to. As the lift rises with him on it, the Emperor looks up at Astera. It is a strange fortress, made of wood, bone, and rope. No void shields, no guns that can kill a starship. Yet it hangs in the sky because humans decided it would. He approves. On the command deck, the commander waits with the Admiral and the Ecological Research Chief. A few Wyverians stand in the back, silent and watchful. They all feel the air change as the Emperor steps onto the deck. Hunters who usually brag and laugh fall silent. Tools drop. Even the furnaces seem to crackle more softly. The Emperor looks around. "This is your stronghold?" he asks. "Yes," the commander says. "Astera, research commission base for the New World." He folds his arms. "I am the commander. This is the Admiral, and our Ecological Research Chief." He tilts his head. "You say you came from the stars?" "I rule a human empire that spans many stars," the Emperor says. "There is no pride in the words, only fact. I sit upon a throne of gold on a world called Terra. From there, I hold back horrors that would eat your minds and souls." The Ecological Chief adjusts his glasses. "I would like to see your readings on that," he mutters. The Admiral snorts. "If he wanted to eat our souls, he wouldn't have smashed that Anjanath for us. That thing would have brought down the supports. Saving us does not prove his nature," a quiet voice says. A Wyverian elder steps forward. His hair is white, his ears long, his eyes very old. He leans on a staff carved with dragon shapes. "The world itself moves in patterns," the elder says. "The Elder Crossing, the Everstream, the breath of the land. When something falls from the sky and shakes that breath, we must ask why." The Emperor regards the Wyverian for a long moment. "You are not human, but you speak with care for them." "I have watched humans for a very long time," the Wyverian replies. "We share this world." He taps his staff on the deck. "So I must ask, what price does your coming bring?" The Emperor's gaze shifts inward for a second. He feels the throne again, the souls burning, the wound in the warp he forced open. He answers honestly. "The price is mine to pay first," he says. "Every breath I take here drains power from my true body. The beacon that guides my ships grows dimmer. My empire at home becomes more blind to the dangers around it." His eyes narrow. "But if this world falls, those dangers may find another path in. It is a risk I chose." The Ecological Chief frowns. "Dangers around your empire? Like what?" "Creatures born of the warp," the Emperor says. "Gods made of fear, blood, rot, and change. I will not speak their names here. This world's sky is thinner. I can feel it. If they notice, they will try to press through." The handler shivers and wraps her arms around herself. "So we're stuck between our monsters and—" "Your monsters?" she asks. "In a way," he says softly. "But your monsters are simple. They kill because they must eat, or defend, or breed. That is honest." The commander clears his throat. "Honest or not, they threaten my people," he said. "We've seen strange behavior lately. Elder dragons changing paths, energy readings off the charts. If your arrival shook the Everstream..." The Ecological Chief steps in, speaking fast now. "Before you came, we were tracking Zora Magdaros, an elder dragon drawn here at the end of its life cycle. It passes energy into the land through the Everstream, but our models broke this morning. Readings spiked far beyond known levels. Something is wrong at the core." As if on cue, Astra shudders under their feet. Everyone grabs for railings and masts. Dishes rattle. A palico falls off a crate with a yowl. The ecological chief runs to a bank of instruments and looks at shaking needles. The Everstream, it's surging again. A roar rolls through the air from far off, deeper and older than the Anjanath's last scream. Another follows, high and sharp. Several monsters at once. Scouts, the commander barks. Positions. Up on the lookout posts, hunters lift spyglasses. Commander, one calls. Multiple large monsters in the ancient forest and Wildspire waste, moving toward us. Elder Dragon signatures, the ecological chief says, checking his notes with shaking hands. That can't be right. We're not ready for another crossing. The Emperor looks to the horizon. He sees power lines others cannot see. Bands of energy, blue and white, flowing under the land like rivers of light. The Everstream. It twists and bulges in several places. Something is pushing up from deep below, and his own golden thread of presence knots through it like a blade stuck in flesh. His arrival has not just shaken the world, it has cut it. He clenches his jaw. I have done harm, he says quietly. I will help repair it. The commander nods once, quick. Then we work together, he says. You saved my base. That buys you trust for now. He turns to the field team leader and the hunter. Get ready. We'll intercept whatever comes close. We hold Astera. The Wyverian elder stares at the Emperor. This land has survived elder crossings for ages, he says, but not with a sunman in its sky. We will see what pattern forms now. The first threat comes fast. From the ancient forest, a Legiana flock rises, silver-blue wings flashing. They are usually far to the north in colder heights. Now they scream and swirl in dizzy patterns, as if driven by something unseen. They dive toward Astera in a storm of ice breath and claws. Air attack, the Admiral roars. All anti-air teams fire. Ballistae crack. Cannon smoke booms. Hunters shoot frenzy ammo from heavy bowguns. Legiana shriek as shots hit. Some fall. Others weave through the fire. The commander watches the Emperor. This will show us what you can do, he says. The Emperor does not answer. He takes one step forward to the edge of the deck. His sword leaves its sheath with a sound like a choir taking breath. He raises his left hand. A shimmering barrier snaps into existence around Astera, a dome of faint golden light. Ice breath scatters across it. Claws squeal. Where monsters hit it, they bounce away, stunned and confused. Hunters cheer. The Emperor's face, however, tightens. The barrier costs him. He feels the throne jolt. A flare of agony runs through his distant body. For a second, the Astronomicon flickers, and a ship far away drifts in sudden dark. He pushes the pain aside. He does not let go. Focus fire on the grounded ones, the field team leader shouts. Take them while they're dazed. Hunters do as ordered. Legiana hit by cannon blasts tumble from the sky, smashing into rocks and platforms. Palicos dart in with tiny blades, finishing weak ones with quick strikes. The Emperor lets the barrier thin just enough at one point. A Legiana dives, thinking it sees an opening. He steps forward, moves his sword in one smooth arc, and cuts the beast in half as it crosses the invisible threshold. Both halves fall, still steaming. Far below, in the Wildspire waste, other monsters roar and turn away, feeling a new predator in the air. After several minutes, the flock breaks and flees. Those who can still fly vanish into the clouds. Hunters lower weapons. Palicos cheer and wave banners. The barrier fades. The Emperor lets his hand fall. His shoulders sag a little. The handler looks at him, eyes wide. You protected all of Astera with one move, she says. That was like an elder dragon, but different. I am more than they are, he says, and there is no arrogance in it, only truth and a touch of sadness. But I am more limited here than you think. The ecological chief checks his readings again. His face is pale. That spike, he says. The barrier. It echoed down the Everstream again. Whatever is happening down there, your power is feeding it. The Emperor's jaw tightens. So, every time he saves them like this, the wound in the world grows. Up to now, a golden god has fallen from the sky, saved Astera twice, and shaken the Everstream so badly that multiple elder dragons move early. The humans have seen his might, and the world has felt his cost. The commander calls a meeting in the strategy room. Maps cover the walls. Charts of monster paths, Everstream readings, and weather patterns are pinned in layers. An enormous map of the new world lies on the central table. The commander, admiral, ecological chief, Wyverian elder, field team leader, seeker from the Third Fleet, and a few other key hunters stand around it. The hunter and handler are there too, near the back. The Emperor stands at the far side, not taking a chair. He seems too large for the room. A sketched line shows where Zora Magdaros was last tracked. New red marks show strange energy spikes. The ecological chief points a stick at the map. Before our guest arrived, we expected Zora to pass through the Great Ravine and move on, he says. We had a plan to divert it into the sea. Now, with the Everstream surging like this, our models say it may explode instead. The lava inside could fire into the land, creating a disaster zone for hundreds of miles. The Admiral scratches his beard. Hundreds of miles, he repeats. No good. The Seeker, thin and sharp-eyed, leans over the map. And these new spikes, he asks, tapping red marks. They weren't there yesterday. No, the ecological chief says. They appeared right after the sky event, after our Emperor here arrived. The commander looks at the Emperor. Is this something your presence always does? He asks. Shake worlds? The Emperor does not flinch at the blunt words. He folds his hands behind his back. In my own galaxy, the warp touches every world, he says. When I act with this much force, the warp ripples. Here, there is no warp in the same way. He glances down at the map, eyes tracing invisible lines. Your Everstream is different. A river of life force under the land. My power forced a new channel through it. It is leaking. Leaking into what? The handler asks. He looks at her, then back to the map. I do not yet know, he admits, but I feel something deep below, something that drinks light, my light. It was small when I arrived. My barrier has fed it. The room falls quiet. The Wyverian elder taps the map gently. The new world has always drawn elder dragons at the end of their lives, he says. They die here, and their power sinks into the Everstream. This feeds the land, creates new life. If something now eats this power instead of the land, it will grow, the Seeker finishes, beyond anything we've seen. So we have two problems, the commander says. Zora Magdaros may explode and burn the continent, and something deep down is drinking the Everstream and our golden friend at the same time. The Admiral grins a grim, wolfish grin. Then we have two jobs, he says. Stop Zora, kill the thing below. The ecological chief pushes his glasses up. Please stop making it sound simple, he sighs. The Emperor studies the map. I will help stop this Zora Magdaros, he says. I have led siege lines around beasts larger than continents. He looks up. I can stand upon its back and turn its path by force. The hunter's eyes widen. The handler looks almost delighted. You're going to ride an elder dragon, she whispers. Partner, can you imagine? The commander nods slowly. Our original plan was to anchor it at the barrier and hit it with everything we have, he says. Ballistae, cannons, dragon slayer, to push it toward the sea. He looks at the Emperor. With you there, we might actually move it. The ecological chief raises a hand. But we must consider the cost, he says. Every use of his power has made the Everstream surge. If he pours power into Zora, that thing below will drink deeper. So we leave him sitting here while the land burns, the Admiral snaps. We can't. We also can't keep feeding an unknown threat, the chief argues. Nature here has rules. You know that. Elder dragons, bioenergy, balance. He is outside that system. He's a star jammed into a river. The Wyverian elder nods once. Too much power in one place cracks the pattern, he says. The commander looks between them. We don't have time for theory fights, he says. Zora reaches the barrier soon. All eyes turn to the Emperor. He stands still, but his mind moves through many futures. He thinks of Terra, of the Imperium, of wars he has fought. He remembers his own choices, uniting Earth with Force, the Great Crusade, the betrayal of Horus, the heresy. Every time he chose to use power to protect humanity. Every time it also broke something. He looks at these hunters. They do not know the warp. They do not have titans or legions. They trust their own hands and tools. My duty is clear, he says. I will stand at the barrier and turn Zora. If I do nothing, your people die now. If I act, something below grows stronger. That is a problem for after, but a solved after is better than a dead now. The ecological chief opens his mouth, then closes it. I can't argue with that logic, he says in a small voice. The commander nods. Then it's settled, he says. Emperor, you join the Zora mission at the barrier. Field team leader, you coordinate the hunters on the dragon's back. Seeker, you monitor the Everstream and this unknown threat. We'll adjust after the siege. He slams his fist on the table. We hunt. The barrier is a scar across the land. Stone walls and wooden platforms cling to both sides of a massive ravine. Cannons line the battlements. Ballistae point outward. Huge chains hang from winches, ready to catch a moving mountain. Hunters run along the walls, loading shells, checking ropes, shouting to one another. Palicos roll barrels and fetch tools. The air smells of powder and fear. On one high platform, the Emperor stands near the commander and admiral. His golden armor glows in the dull light. Below, the sea crashes far off. Ahead, a massive, fiery shape moves slowly toward them. Zora Magdaros. It is part dragon, part volcano, a walking mountain of magma and rock. Each step shakes the earth. Lava flows over its back like rivers. Smoke pours from cracks in its shell. The hunter stands ready with their gear, the handler by their side with notes and a trembling smile. This is it, partner, she says. Biggest hunt of our lives. And we have a literal sky god on our team. No pressure. The Emperor turns to the hunter. You have stood before these beasts many times, he says. You know their ways. When we are upon its back, your eyes may see what mine do not. Speak, and I will listen. The hunter nods once, honored. A horn sounds. Zora draws near. Positions, the commander shouts. Cannons tilt. Ballista crews pull levers. The Everstream itself seems to hum underfoot, as if bracing. Zora's enormous head rises over the ridge, a mountain face glowing from within. Its eyes burn like coals. It does not roar. It moves with slow, crushing purpose. Fire! The admiral yells. The barrier erupts. Cannon blasts slam into Zora's rocky shell. Chains fly, their hooks digging in. Ballista bolts streak across the gap. Some pierce cracks in the magma plates, others bounce off or melt. Zora keeps moving. "Emperor," the commander calls. "Now would be a good time." The Emperor breathes in. He leaps. For a second, everyone thinks he will fall into the ravine. Instead, a golden platform appears under his feet, then another, like stepping stones in the air. He runs across nothing, cloak snapping in the blast winds, sword in hand. Hunters stare. "He's flash-stepping without a mantle," the handler says weakly. He lands on Zora's back with a crash that sends cracks through the shell. Lava splashes around him, but does not touch him. A thin golden barrier forms under his boots, holding him steady. He thrusts his free hand out. Invisible force grabs the chains attached to Zora and pulls. Stone groans. Metal screams. Zora's massive body shifts, turning 1 slow degree toward the sea. The Emperor's teeth clench. Power roars down the link between this shard and his true self. Deep under the barrier, the Everstream flares. On platforms along Zora's back, hunters drop from transports. The hunter, field team leader, and others land on the beast's shell, running over hot rock and magma. They place bombs in weak spots, attack hardened cores, and use their slingers to zip around. "Break those magma cores," the field team leader shouts. "Give the Emperor something to push against." Eruptions shake the air. Lava fountains blast up where hunters hit core nodes. Zora finally reacts, giving a low, world-shuddering roar. Magma flows faster. From the clouds, another roar answers. Nergigante dives. The spiked elder dragon tears down through ash and smoke, its black scales lined with sharp white spikes. It is drawn to feast on elder dragons and their power. Zora is a buffet. So is the golden sun on its back. "New target," the handler cries over the comm. "Nergigante inbound." The Emperor looks up as the dragon dives at him, jaws wide. He leaps again, straight toward it. They meet in midair, a god in gold and a predator in black. Zora's vast body moves under them like a slow sea. Nergigante slams into his raised sword. Claws rake against psychic wards. The Emperor's arm jars. For the first time since he arrived, a real enemy presses him physically. He grinds his teeth and pushes back. Wings beat. Spikes fly. The Emperor grabs Nergigante's horn with his free hand and twists. Bone cracks. The dragon roars and hurls him away. He hits Zora's shell hard enough to crack the rock. Up on the walls, hunters open fire. "Don't hit the Emperor," someone yells. "Aim for the spikes." Nergigante dives again, this time toward the hunters on Zora's back. It slams into the shell, claws tearing for a hunter. The hunter from the 5th Fleet rolls away at the last second, using their greatsword to block a swipe that would cut them in half. The Emperor appears beside Nergigante in a flash of gold. He drives his sword into one wing and drags it down. Blood, dark and hot, sprays. Nergigante screams and flails. The Emperor kicks off the dragon's side, pushing himself and it apart. In that moment, something strange happens. Nergigante's blood, full of stolen elder power, splashes on Zora's shell and runs down cracks. Deep below, in the Everstream, that blood becomes light, and something drinks it. The Emperor feels the pull. His own power wrapped around Nergigante's wound and Zora's path, leaks down like golden threads. Something at the bottom of the world tugs on those threads, tasting, pulling. For a second, his vision blurs. The throne's pain spikes. He grits his teeth and slams a mental door, cutting the flow as best he can. "Not now," he growls. He swings his sword in a wide arc. A wave of force slams into Nergigante, sending the dragon tumbling away from Zora. Broken and angry, it flares its wings and flees into the clouds, black shape shrinking. Hunters cheer. The Emperor lands on Zora's back again, knees bending as he takes the impact. He thrusts his hand out and pulls. Chains strain. Zora's head slowly turns toward the sea. On the barrier, the commander watches, eyes wide. "We might actually pull this off," he murmurs. The ecological chief, however, stares at his instruments in horror. "The Everstream readings," he whispers. "They've never been this high. Something is responding." Zora's body finally shifts fully. With a groan like mountain grinding on mountain, it stumbles, then starts moving away from land, toward the open sea. "Retreat," the commander shouts into speaking tubes. All teams fall back. Mission success. Hunters on Zora's back leap to return transports. The hunter and field team leader grab onto a hook and ride it back up to the barrier. Palicos cling to belts and backpacks. The Emperor waits until the last hunter is clear. Then he stands at the highest point of Zora's shell, facing the nothing beyond the ravine. He lifts his sword one more time. He drives the blade into the very air. Reality flexes. A golden shockwave runs through the sky in front of Zora. It is not a barrier, but a guide, a gentle wall that nudges. Zora walks into it and turns that last needed degree toward the sea. The Emperor pulls his sword free and dismisses the field before it can do more harm below. Then he leaps back to the barrier, landing beside the commander in a burst of golden sparks. Astera and the barrier erupt in cheers. Hunters shout and beat their weapons on the stone. Palicos dance. The handler throws her arms around the hunter. "We did it. We actually did it. With him, we can stop any Elder Dragon partner." The Emperor stands very still for a moment. Inside, he feels the cost. Each act of power here is like ripping strips off his own soul. The throne howls. Somewhere, a human ship lost in the warp fails to find its way and drifts into a storm. He cannot see it clearly, but he feels the echoes. He sets his jaw. This is the price he chose. The War Council after the siege is louder. The Admiral slaps the Emperor's armored shoulder as soon as he walks into the room. "That was a fine hunt," he booms. "Never thought I'd see someone ride a walking volcano and wrestle Nergigante in the same hour. With you, we could clear the new world of Elder Dragons in a season." "Please do not say that so. Easily." The ecological chief groans from his corner, holding a stack of shaking charts. "Do you want the land to explode?" The commander sits at the table, hands folded, waiting. The Wyverian elder stands near the window, looking at the sky. The seeker flips through his book, scribbling notes about golden god behavior and non-native energy patterns. The handler and hunter linger near the back, listening. The Emperor remains standing. The commander taps the map. "Results," he says. "We pushed Zora toward the sea. Damage to the land will be much smaller than feared. Casualties low. That is a win." He looks at the ecological chief. "Costs." The chief slams his charts down. "Everstream output during the siege spiked higher than any recorded Elder crossing," he says. "The surge when our friend here used his barrier and his last push was off the scale. I had to redraw the scale," he adds, voice cracking. The seeker adjusts his glasses. "And the unknown readings?" he asks. The chief's face goes pale. "Yes, those." He points to a set of jagged lines. "Deep below our feet, something is collecting that energy. Before the siege, it was a small node. After, it is huge. And its pattern is changing. It's learning." The room falls quiet. The Emperor breaks it. "When I fought Nergigante, I felt something," he says. "When its blood, full of elder power, spilled into Zora, and my power wrapped around it, something below pulled. It drank not just Zora's life, but mine. The Wyverian elder turns from the window. The land has made a new thing, he says softly. The Everstream is reacting to you. The Admiral frowns. What kind of thing? He demands. The ecological chief spreads out a sketch. It is rough, drawn from readings and dreams. It shows a dragon-like shape inside a cocoon of crystal, deep underground. Its eyes are not open, but faint light seeps from them. Based on the energy pattern, the chief says, I think it is some kind of new elder dragon, one born directly from the Everstream, fed by Zora and the others. It should have taken much longer to form. He shivers. Our emperor here sped it up by a lot. The handler hugs herself. So we made a new monster, she says. A super mega elder dragon. Great. Not we, the Wyverian elder corrects gently. He looks at the emperor. He. The commander looks at the emperor as well. Our first use of your power saved my people and the land, he says. It also woke something worse. That puts us in a strange place. The admiral leans forward. Strange or not, I say we keep using him, he growls. We face this new beast head on. He hits it with that golden light. We hit it with everything else. That's what hunters do. And if his golden light is what feeds it? The ecological chief snaps back. Did you not hear me? Our readings show that whenever he uses his power, the thing below grows stronger. If it is drinking his energy, hitting it with more is like pouring water on a sponge. The seeker nods. We must treat this new dragon as something more than a simple beast, he says. It is a system-level threat. It feeds on bioenergy in a way nothing else has, and it may have some awareness. It responded to our actions at the barrier in real time. The commander rubs his temples. So we're trapped, he says. Use our new golden weapon, and we power up the enemy. Refuse to use him, and we face normal elder dragons and this new one with only our old tools. He looks at the emperor. What do you think? He asks. You fought sky gods before, yes? The emperor's gaze is far away for a moment. He remembers warp entities that grew when people gave them fear or worship. He remembers the birth of chaos gods, fed by emotion. He remembers trying to starve them by shaping human minds in a harsh, rational empire. It is like a warp predator, he says slowly, but not of the warp. It drinks life energy. The Everstream is its sea. My power is refined soul light. To it, I am a feast. He looks back at the commander. If I strike it at full strength, I will make it stronger. If I do nothing, it will drink from elder dragons and the Everstream anyway. That tracks with my data, the ecological chief mutters, depressingly. So what are our options? The admiral asks. Let the land die slowly or quickly. The Wyverian elder speaks. Humans have always hunted monsters stronger than themselves, he says. They use tools, brains, and courage. They learn the pattern of the beast and find the weak point. This new dragon will also have a weak point, perhaps not in its hunger, but in what surrounds that hunger. The seeker nods. We find that weak point, he says. Use the emperor not as a hammer, but as a lens. His power can show us what this thing really is. Then, perhaps, the hunters can hurt it without feeding it. The commander leans back, thinking. So we use your power in small, careful ways, he says to the emperor. Not blasts, not shields that cover the whole base. Light touches, senses, not punches. That is wise, the emperor agrees. Every war has stages. We are in the scouting stage. We must learn the enemy before we commit. The admiral looks unhappy, but he does not argue. He has seen the Everstream spikes. The handler raises her hand timidly. She says. I know I'm not a big brain like you guys, but these dragons, the normal ones. They're part of the world. We kill some, sure, but we also protect their nesting areas when needed. We make gear from them, but we also study them. There's balance, right? The ecological chief nods. Yes, elder dragons and the Everstream shape the ecosystem. Take them out, the system collapses. So this new dragon, the handler goes on, it's not part of that balance. It's stealing from it. It's not like Nergigante, which at least fits in the cycle. It's more like a leak or a thief. And our new golden friend here. She points at the Emperor. He came here to protect humans, but he doesn't belong in this system either. He's like an extra piece. So maybe the real question is, how much are we allowed to change this world to protect ourselves? The room is quiet for a moment. The Emperor looks at her with new respect. You see clearly, he says. The Wyverian elder nods as well. This is the heart of the question, he agrees. Your kind has come to the new world, bringing your hammers and saws. You change forests, carve cliffs, build a stera. Now you bring a sunman. He looks at the commander. How much change can the world bear before it breaks? The commander meets his gaze without flinching. The world does not care about us, he says. If we die, it goes on. I have a duty to my people. I will change what I must to keep them alive. That is one way, the elder says. The ecological chief shakes his head. If we break the Everstream, everyone dies, he says. Humans, monsters, everything. So you would let Zora explode because saving it shifts a line on your graph, the Admiral snaps. Of course not, the chief shoots back. But I want us to see the long term. If we use this Emperor like a big shiny weapon for every problem, we might win now and lose everything later. The commander looks at the Emperor. And you, he asks, what is your rule in your own world? How far do you go to protect humanity? The Emperor thinks of worlds burned to deny them to the enemy, of entire populations sacrificed so that a few planets could survive, of the heresy, of his son on a ship above Terra, blade in hand. For humanity to live, he says slowly, I have allowed many other things to die. Species, cultures, even human freedoms at times. I believed a unified, strong humankind was worth that price, but when I trusted power alone, without understanding, I paid in blood. He looks down at his own hands. In my world, there is no balance with the warp, he says. It is only war. Here, you have something else. A cycle, a pattern. Maybe I should not break it as I broke my own. The hunter studies his face. For the first time, they see doubt in this godlike being. The handler leans over to whisper. He's kind of like a guild knight who went way too far, but she keeps it quiet. So what will you do? The Wyverian elder asks the Emperor. Fight for human safety alone, or also for the pattern of the world? The Emperor's answer is simple. I will fight for both, he says. I will not let humans die if I can help it, but I will also listen to those who know this land. I will not swing blindly. The commander nods. That works for me, he says. We use you when needed, not for everything. We keep our old ways, our normal hunts, our research. We treat this new dragon as a special target. The Seeker taps the map where the Everstream dips deepest. Its nest will be down here, he says. Where the Everstream pools. We'll need a path. Leave that to me and the field teams, the Admiral says, eager again. We'll punch a tunnel if we have to. The ecological chief sighs. Please try not to punch any tunnels through major load-bearing rock, he mutters. A bell rings outside. The commander frowns. We're still in session, he says. A breathless hunter bursts in. "Commander," she gasps. "Chief, we have new readings from the Everstream, and people are having dreams, the same dream." Everyone exchanges looks. The Emperor feels it before they speak of it. A pressure, like a deep ocean current, pushes against his mind. It is not warp, it is something else, but it feels him too. That night, the Emperor sits alone in a quiet platform near the top of Astera. The stars here are strange. There is no familiar pattern of the Milky Way as he knows it, no eye of the warp. The sky feels clean. It should be peaceful. It is not. He closes his eyes and lets a small piece of his mind reach down. He follows the Everstream's glow. It is like a river of blue-white light under the world, carrying the life force of dead elder dragons and the land itself. At its deepest point, he sees it pool into a glowing lake. In the middle of that lake hangs a cocoon of crystal, huge and egg-shaped. Inside, something shifts, a dragon shape, but not like any he has seen. Not scales and flesh, but raw energy given form. Its skin is made of the same crystal that holds it. Veins of Everstream light run through its body. Tiny, closed eyes glow faintly. As he watches, a thin thread of golden light runs from the world above into the cocoon, into the dragon's chest, his own light. The dragon twitches in its sleep and smiles, just a little, with its not yet mouth. More, a faint thought whispers back along the thread. It has no words, but the meaning is clear. More light, more power. The Emperor recoils. He tries to cut the thread, to pull his light back. It resists, sticky and strong. He forces his will down it, burning it out. The cocoon shakes. The dragon inside shivers, annoyed. In Astera, he opens his eyes, breathing hard. So, the new dragon is not just an animal. It can sense and use his presence. It is not warp, but it is close enough that his usual tricks might not work well. He stares at his hand. In his home galaxy, when something like this appears, he either binds it or destroys it. Here, there may be a third path. This world has its own laws. He must learn them. In the morning, the power scaling briefing is held. They call it something a bit more plain, an emergency Everstream report. The room is packed with hunters, researchers, and Wyverians. The commander stands at the front, but it is the ecological chief who speaks most. "We have combined our readings with the reports of shared dreams," he says, voice tense, "and with our Emperor's own impressions." He glances at the golden figure. The Emperor nods for him to continue. "We believe a new elder dragon is forming in the Everstream," the chief says. "It is not like Zora or Nergigante. Those are part of natural cycles. This one is something new, born from the Everstream itself." He points at a sketch on the board. It shows the crystal cocoon and dragon shape. "We're calling it xeno'jiiva," he says, "because it is alien, even to this land." Murmurs fill the room. The seeker steps forward. "Here is what we know, in plain words," he says. "First, xeno'jiiva feeds directly on life energy. That means elder dragon bodies, the Everstream itself, and any other strong source. Second, our Emperor's power counts as a very strong source." He holds up 2 fingers. "Third," he goes on, "when the Emperor uses his power in big ways, like the barrier over Astera or the push on Zora, xeno'jiiva grows faster. It drinks the extra energy. Fourth, if the Emperor tries to attack xeno'jiiva with raw power, he will likely feed it even more, making it stronger instead of weaker." The Wyverian elder adds a 5th point. "Fifth," he says softly, "xeno'jiiva can now sense the Emperor. It reached into the dreams of our hunters last night. It called to them with light. It may one day call in other ways. The room goes very quiet. A hunter raises a hand. So, what you're saying is, the strongest person we've ever met is also the favorite snack of the strongest monster we've ever heard of, he says. And if he fights it like he usually fights things, it'll just level up. That is a crude but accurate way to put it, the ecological chief admits. Another hunter grimaces. So what do we do? The emperor answers. We do what hunters have always done, he says. We learn. We strike where the beast is weak, not where it is strong. His eyes narrow, and we deny it easy meals. He looks at his own armored hand again. That means I must use my power rarely and with precision, he says. I will use my senses to help you find paths and patterns, but I will not throw suns at xeno'jiiva's face, not yet. The commander nods. We also keep hunting normal elder dragons, he says. They are still threats, but we try not to let their bodies and energy fall straight into this new thing's mouth. The admiral grunts. That means more capture, less kill, he says. Traps, redirects, more work. It also means, the ecological chief says, that we must think of our emperor here not just as a weapon, but as bait. xeno'jiiva wants him. If we are clever, we can use that. Draw it into a place where it is weaker, a place we choose. The handler whispers to the hunter. We're going to use a god as lure meat. This is getting weird. The hunter nods grimly. They understand. Every big monster has a favorite bait. Codex minds in the far future will later write, xeno'jiiva is a creature of raw bioenergy that can metabolize warp-adjacent power, turning an enemy's strength into its own. To fight such a beast, one must starve it before striking. The plan to face xeno'jiiva begins in the deepest chamber of Astera. Maps of tunnels and caverns cover the walls. Crude sketches of crystals and everstream veins hang beside them. Hunters and researchers crowd the room, gear clinking, pens scratching. The ecological chief stands at the front with a pointer. There are dark circles under his eyes. Our scouts and seismic readings confirm it, he says. xeno'jiiva's cocoon is here. He taps a point far below the known maps. In a chamber beyond the Elder's recess, the everstream pools all around it. The Seeker speaks next. Standard tricks won't work on it, he says. We can't capture a thing made of raw energy. Our traps use physical or simple elemental triggers. This thing eats energy. It will likely heal from most attacks. The Admiral folds his arms. What about big guns? He asks. Dragonator, cannon lines, drop a mountain on it. The ecological chief grimaces. If we drop a mountain, we also crush the everstream veins, he says. That could break the whole land. And energy weapons feed it. Every big blast is food. So our basic hunt loops are useless, the field team leader says. No traps, no big finishers. If we fight it head on, we make it stronger. If we don't fight it, it eats the world. The room feels smaller. The commander looks at the emperor. You said we're in the scouting phase, he says. So we scout. What's the goal for the first mission? The emperor's eyes are closed for a moment. He thinks. Knowledge, he says. We go down, see xeno'jiiva with our own eyes, test it with small strikes, and learn. We look for any point where it does not feed well. A blind spot, a boundary, a part of the chamber that weakens it. We mark paths for a later full assault. And if it attacks, the Admiral asks. The Emperor opens his eyes. Then I will stand in front, he says. I will let it strike me instead of you, but I will not answer with full power. I will take the blows and see how they work. The ecological chief starts to protest, but that will feed it, yes, the Emperor cuts in, but less than if I unleash freely. We must know how it wounds. Only then can we plan around it. The Wyverian elder nods slowly. Every new beast has a first hunt, he says. The first hunt is often bloody, but it is where we learn its song. The handler raises her hand. We go too, she says, partner and me. We're used to crazy dragons in small spaces. The commander hesitates, then he nods. Field team leader, hunter, handler, seeker, and a small escort, he says. Emperor with you. Wyverian elder will guide from above with the chief. We cannot risk everyone on one push. He leans over the map. We go light, he says. We go quiet. And if things go bad, we get out alive. This is not the final fight. This is the first look. The Emperor feels the thread to Terra pulse with pain again. The throne is not happy. He answers in silence. Wait one more day, he tells it in his mind. Let me see. They descend through the Elder's recess. The air grows hotter and thinner. Crystals line the walls, glowing in blue and purple shades. Lava tubes glow red below. The Everstream's hum is louder here, like a slow, deep drum. The hunter walks point, greatsword on their back, eyes sharp. The handler hurries behind, carrying gear and notes. The field team leader and 2 more hunters follow with lances and a bow. The seeker brings a slinger full of special shots. A palico team pads along with bombs. The Emperor walks in the center. His golden armor looks wrong here. The crystals throw strange light on it. In some reflections, it looks pure. In others, it looks stained blue. They reach a wide cavern with a ceiling full of glowing spikes. At the far end, the ground drops away into a huge hole. Everstream light pours up from it like mist. Crystals rise around the rim like teeth. In the center of the hole hangs the cocoon. It is bigger than a stera. Its surface is made of clear, hard crystal, shot through with blue rivers of light. Inside, something big moves slowly. A tail twitches. A wing flexes. Closed eyes glow faintly. The Emperor feels the thread again. It runs from his chest down into the cocoon's core. Xeno'jiiva stirs. Everyone freezes. The handler whispers, "So that's it. That's our baby apocalypse." The seeker raises a scope to his eye. "Recording everything," he murmurs. The ecological chief's voice crackles through a small speaker on the handler's belt. "Remember, no big attacks," he says. "We're just poking it. Tiny pokes." "Right," the field team leader replies. He gestures to the hunter. "Let's test the crystal around it. See how it reacts to small, non-elemental hits." The hunter nods, pulls out a stone, and fires it from their slinger at one of the outer crystals. The stone hits with a ping. A small crack appears. Energy flows from the crack into the air, then down toward the cocoon. Xeno'jiiva shifts again. Its inner light flares. "Okay, even that is food," the ecological chief mutters in their ears. "Be careful with breaking the chamber." The Emperor steps closer to the edge. He reaches out with a small, careful thread of power, no wider than a human hair. He touches the air around the cocoon, not the cocoon itself. It is like touching a live wire. Everstream energy lashes at his mind. His senses fill with heat and color. For a second, he sees the world through Xeno'jiiva's unborn eyes. He sees Astera as a bright flame of life. He sees the Emperor as a sun. He sees every elder dragon in the land as moving meals. He sees the Everstream as his own blood. A child's thought brushes his mind. "You are bright," it says without words. "You hurt, but you feed. Come closer." The Emperor pulls back. "Contact confirmed," he says. His voice is steady, but inside he feels rattled. "It knows I am here. It wants me." The handler's hands shake as she writes that down. The seeker frowns. Can it reach out? He asks. Or is it stuck? The answer comes at once. Crystal shards around the chamber tremble. Blue veins inside them flare. A wave of pressure washes over the team. The hunter staggers. The handler grabs their arm. The palicos drop their bombs and hiss, fur standing on end. The Emperor feels a spear of cold light lance up from the cocoon along the thread in his chest, aimed straight at his mind. He throws up a shield. The beam hits. It is not like warp fire. It does not burn in strange colors or scream. It is clean, simple hunger. It reaches inside his light and begins to drink. The Emperor's vision blurs. For a second, he sees terror, far away, as a dim star. The Astronomicon flickers. Ships scream in sudden dark. No, he growls. He channels his will into a tight knot, blocking the beam, but he does not send a blast back. He knows what that would do. He holds. The beam splits. Half of it keeps pushing at his shield. The other half spreads out through the crystals, then lashes toward the hunters. The hunter feels something try to crawl into their head. A promise of power. A picture of them swinging their greatsword with glowing blue energy, cutting any monster in one hit, for a price. They grit their teeth and push it away. The field team leader slams his lance into the ground. "Back!" he shouts. "Fall back to the choke point." The Emperor does not move. He steps forward instead. Golden light flares around his boots as he makes a small platform, just big enough. He walks out over empty space closer to the cocoon. "Eyes off him," the field team leader yells to the others. "Keep them on me. Move." Hunters and palicos scramble for the tunnel mouth. xeno'jiiva's inner form is clearer now. The dragon fetus presses against the inside of the crystal, as if trying to hatch early. It opens its eyes for the first time. They are not like normal dragon eyes. They are pits of white-blue light. In their centers, tiny golden specks glow. The Emperor's specks. "Give," a whisper pushes into his mind. "Give more. There are no more monsters. No more pain. I will drink them all. Only humans and you. Safe." The Emperor sees the vision. The new world, empty of elder dragons. No Legiana, no Diablos, no Nergigante, no xeno'jiiva other than this one, now in control. The Everstream calm. Astera safe. Hunters killing only small, weak monsters for food. He sees something more. This dragon grown huge, wrapped in his golden light. Its wings spread over the land like a shield. Anything from the warp that dares to touch this world burns in blue-white fire. His Imperium's greatest enemies bounce off this single changed planet. "In this place," the whisper says, "you win. No heresy, no chaos, refuge." It is a strong temptation. He remembers worlds lost to chaos. He remembers sons who turned on him. He remembers the endless war. A part of him, small and tired, wants a simple win. If he pours himself into xeno'jiiva now, he could shape it, make it his weapon. But he knows what that would mean. He would feed it his whole being. Terror would be blind. The Astronomicon would die. The Imperium would tear itself apart in darkness. Trillions would be lost. Here, some millions would be safe. He feels the knife edge. "Choose," the whisper urges. The Emperor's answer is not loud. It is firm. "No," he says. "I will not burn one home to play at God in another." He sends not a blast, but a cut. He focuses his will like a blade and slices the thread inside his chest where it touches xeno'jiiva. He does not attack the dragon. He attacks their connection. The beam lashes back at him. Pain explodes in his mind. The shield shatters. A spike of blue-white energy drives into his essence and twists. For a moment, he feels something in him change. Part of his light turns cold and hard, like crystal. He staggers. On his armor, golden plates crack. In the cracks, faint blue lines glow. Hunters at the tunnel mouth gasp. Is he bleeding? The handler whispers. The Emperor drops to one knee on the tiny platform. His sword point bites into the glowing air. He could answer with rage now. He could open the warp and pour raw power down into the cocoon, turning this chamber into a sun. He sees it in his mind. The dragon would scream. The Everstream would boil. This continent might die. He does not. He pulls back. He rips his mind away from the connection, leaving a shard of himself behind in xeno'jiiva's cocoon. It laughs with stolen light as he retreats. The cavern shakes. Crystals crack and fall. The tunnel's ceiling starts to crumble. Out, the field team leader shouts. Move! The hunter grabs the handler and pushes her ahead. The palicos dart between falling shards, dragging small, injured beasts that live down here out of the path of rocks. The Emperor stands, even as the tiny platform under him flickers. He walks back toward the wall, each step heavy. The blue cracks in his armor pulse. The Everstream below reaches for him, hungry. A huge piece of ceiling breaks free above the tunnel mouth. Hunters look up in horror. The Emperor lifts his sword. He does not throw a blast. He does not turn the ceiling to dust. He uses just enough force to slice the falling rock into 3 smaller pieces and nudge them aside. The pieces crash down on empty ground. Dust fills the air. He steps into the tunnel and lets the cavern behind him collapse. xeno'jiiva's cocoon disappears behind tons of rock. They stumble back up toward the surface. The handler keeps looking at the Emperor's cracked armor. Are you okay? She asks finally, voice small. I am damaged, he says, but alive. What did it do to you? The Seeker asks, staring at the blue lines. The Emperor does not answer at once. At the top of the Elder's recess, the Wyverian Elder and Ecological Chief wait. When they see the team, relief crosses their faces, then worry when they see the Emperor. The Ecological Chief rushes forward. Your armor, he says. The readings spiked again. Then, changed. You're humming. He lifts a device. It clicks wildly near the Emperor. You are now an Everstream source, he says in awe and fear, like an elder dragon, or worse. Codex note. xeno'jiiva has altered the Emperor's psychic light, turning a piece of it into Everstream-like bioenergy that now leaks into the land and calls to the dragon like a signal flare. They gather in a quiet chamber after the first descent. The Emperor sits on a stone bench, resting. Gold dust falls from the cracks in his armor when he moves. Inside those cracks, blue light pulses like a heartbeat. It does not fade. The Ecological Chief walks around him with instruments. Your aura used to be one thing, he says. Warp-like, but not warp, whatever that means. Now it has 2 layers. The outer one looks like our Everstream, xeno'jiiva's favorite snack. Can you fix it? The handler asks. The chief shakes his head. This is way beyond herbs and bandages, he says. We're in pray it doesn't get worse land. The Wyverian Elder leans on his staff. The dragon bit your soul, he says softly. Left its mark. Now it will always know where you are. The commander stands with arms crossed. So every time he uses power now, he says, he not only shakes the Everstream, he also leaks this marked energy. Yes, the chief says, we have confirmed. Even when he just walked up the stairs, the Everstream readings ticked up. The Admiral slams a fist into the wall. So that thing turned our best asset into its favorite meal, he growls, and we let it. The Seeker shakes his head. We did not have much choice, he says. We needed to know how it attacks. Now we do. It goes for connection. It offers deals. It eats light. The Emperor finally speaks. It offered to end your monsters, he says, to make this world safe. In exchange for me, it would have bound me and drunk me across time. The room is silent. The handler swallows. You said no, she says. Yes, he says. The Wyverian elder looks at him. That was not an easy no for you, he says. You carry too much weight to find no easy. The Emperor's eyes go distant. He sees terror again. The palace, the golden throne, his withered body nailed to it. The souls of 1,000 psychers dying each day to feed the light. He hears the prayers of trillions across the Imperium. They reach his shard even here. Do not abandon us, they whisper. Do not dim. He bows his head. He feels shame that xeno'jiiva even had a chance to tempt him. The commander clears his throat. You said you have a throne, he says. A place where your true body sits. A place your power comes from. Yes, the Emperor says quietly. And now that power is cracked and leaking, the commander goes on. This is bigger than the new world, bigger than us. We need someone, bigger than you. He smiles grimly. We need to speak to your boss. The handler blinks. He is the boss, she says. Even bosses have someone to answer to, the commander replies. He looks at the Emperor. You said your true self sits on that throne. He is the one who chose to send you. He's the one who pays the main cost. The Wyverian elder nods. In our stories, he says, when a hunter goes too deep into the elder's domain, they must return to the village and speak to the first hunter, the one who set the code, to see if they still walk the right path. He taps his staff on the floor. We have seen what your power does down here, he says to the Emperor. We have seen what it did above. Before we go again, you must speak with the part of you that chose this path, and that part must see what you have done. How? The Seeker asks. We cannot travel across galaxies. The Emperor lifts his head. There are places, he says, where worlds are thin, where your Everstream and my warp touch, where my throne's light can shine through more clearly. The place where xeno'jiiva sleeps is one. That is why it found me so fast. The ecological chief nods. The Everstream Lake, he says. Of course. Highest energy density, thinnest walls. If I stand above that lake again, the Emperor says, and open myself, I can speak with my true self on the throne. He can see through my eyes. He can judge. And he can set rules. Rules? The Admiral asks. Limits, the Emperor says. I came here free. Now I am marked. My choices affect more than this world. I must be bound, or both realms may fall. The handler frowns. You're going to ask your own bigger self to put a leash on you, she asks. Yes, he says simply. The commander nods. Then we go back down, he says, but not for a fight, for a meeting. The Wyverian elder steps forward. This is a sacred thing, he says. We will treat it as such. Only a small group goes. The rest wait. We prepare as if for a pilgrimage. The ecological chief sighs. I'll start writing a how to host a star god memo, he mutters. That night, the Emperor dreams. At least it feels like a dream. He stands in the grand cathedral of the Imperial Palace. Golden pillars rising on all sides. Rows of candles burn, each flame a human soul. The air is filled with the smell of incense and the sound of distant chanting. A line of warriors stands before him. Astartes, Space Marines. They are giants in power armor painted in many colors. Ultramarines blue, Blood Angels red, Imperial Fists yellow. All bear the mark of the Imperium, the double-headed eagle. They kneel as one. Father, they say. He feels a sharp ache. Many of these sons are dead in his true time. Some betrayed him, some stayed loyal. All still live here, in this memory. At the far end of the hall, On a raised platform sits the golden throne. His own withered body, vast and broken, is fixed to it by cables and tubes. He sees himself as he is now, not as he appears in this shard, skin like old parchment, eyes burning with dying light. The throne emperor opens his eyes fully. The hall shakes. "You have gone far," the throne voice says, echoing through the shard's mind. "Too far." The shard emperor bows his head. "I saw a clean sky," he says. "I saw humans in danger. I went." "Without full thought for the cost," the throne says. "You always think you alone can carry it. That pride is your oldest wound." The shard flinches. "I saved them," he says. "I saved their base. I turned their dragon. Without me, many would have died." "And in doing so," the throne replies, "you created a hungry child at the heart of their world that now eats your light. You risked the Imperium for a handful of new souls." The shard looks up, eyes burning. "Every human soul matters," he says. "Even a handful. That is my code." "Then you must learn to save without breaking what you guard," the throne says. "You cannot throw suns at every threat. Not anymore." A custodian steps out of the shadows beside the throne. Golden armor, tall spear, face hidden behind a mask. He is the symbol of duty and watchfulness. He raises his spear. "Return," he says, "or accept chains." The shard wakes with those words in his mind. Up to now, the Emperor has seen xeno'jiiva, refused its offer, and been marked by its bite. His power now leaks Everstream energy, making him both shield and beacon. The New World's leaders have decided he must face his own throne and accept limits before they can fight the dragon again. They leave Astera at dawn. The voyage to the Elder's Recess feels different this time. It is not a rush to set up a siege. It is a slow, serious march. Hunters from all fleets line the decks as the ship pulls away. Palicos wave tiny flags. Some bow in the Emperor's direction, some in the Wyverian Elders, some in both. The handler stands beside the hunter at the rail. She watches the water. "Feels like we're on a pilgrimage," she says. "Not a hunt." The hunter grunts in agreement. Behind them, the Emperor stands very still. His cracked armor has been repaired as well as possible. Golden plates sit back in place, but the blue lines are still there like veins. Sometimes they pulse in sync with the Everstream under the world, even from here. In the ship's infirmary below, there are wounded from the first descent. The Emperor visits them. He walks past beds where hunters lie with bandaged heads and burns. A palico sleeps with a broken leg, little paw in a sling. Medics move carefully around him, nervous. He stops by a bed, where a young hunter stares at the ceiling. The hunter's eyes are unfocused. A faint blue glow lingers in the whites. "What happened?" the Emperor asks. The medic bows his head. "Got hit by that mind wave," he says. "Xeno's touch. He's not possessed or anything, just quiet, like something showed him too much at once." The Emperor places a golden hand on the hunter's brow. He does not pour power in. He simply lets a calm, steady light seep from him like warmth from a lamp. It pushes against the blue shimmer. The hunter's eyes clear a little. He blinks and looks at the Emperor. "Sir," he whispers, "big dragon, big baby, hungry." "Yes," the Emperor says. "You saw it. Are we going to kill it?" the hunter asks. There is no fear in his voice, only worry. "Or is it just doing what it does?" The Emperor considers his words. "It is doing what it was born to do," he says. "But what it was born to do will kill many. We must stop it. That is the hard part of my duty. To kill what cannot be allowed to live, even if it is not evil in a simple way." The hunter nods slowly. "Like some monsters," he says. We don't hate them. We just can't let them roam. Yes, the Emperor says softly. He moves on. In a small side room, the Wyverian elder waits. Crystals hang from the ceiling like wind chimes, glowing softly. It feels like a chapel, though no god is named. You are going to your throne, the elder says when the Emperor enters, to speak to yourself, to accept chains. Yes, the Emperor says. Are you afraid? The elder asks. The Emperor thinks about fear. Not for myself, he says. For what I might be told to do. For who I may be told to leave behind. The elder nods. We old ones know that fear well, he says. I have seen orders from the guild that hurt me, but I follow because I see a larger pattern. He peers at the Emperor. You have your own guild, he says, your own web of duty. You must listen to it now, or break it forever. The Emperor sits on the floor across from him. For a moment, the light from his armor and the light from the crystals mix. Tell me something, the Emperor says. When hunters go out, what rules bind them? The elder smiles. More than they like to admit, he says. They must not wipe out species. They must not hunt in breeding grounds without cause. They must report new monsters. They must remember that they are part of the world, not above it. And if they forget, the Emperor asks. Then the guild pulls them back, the elder says, or sends others to stop them. The Emperor nods slowly. In my galaxy, he says, I built an empire that put humanity above all. I gave myself more freedom than any hunter. I became my own guild. That is why I broke so much. He looks down at his blue scars. Maybe it is time I accept being just another hunter, under rules, he says. The elder laughs softly. A sunman hunter, he says. But yes. They reach the docks near the elder's recess. From there they travel overland, through rocky passes and lava fields. The escort is small but strong. The hunter and handler, the field team leader, the seeker, a few elite hunters from the 1st and 3rd fleets, a Palico squad, the Wyverian elder, and the Emperor. At night, they camp in a sheltered cave. Hunters clean weapons, Palicos cook meat, the handler scribbles notes by firelight. The seeker reads from his book. The Emperor sits apart, watching the stars through a crack in the cave roof. The hunter walks over and sits nearby. They do not speak at first. Finally, the handler joins them, carrying 3 mugs of hot drink. She hands one to the Emperor before catching herself. Oh, do you drink? She asks. He takes the mug politely. Not to live, he says, but thank you. They drink in silence for a moment. Partner and I were talking, the handler says, about you, about what's coming. The hunter nods. They look at the Emperor. If your throne tells you to leave, the handler says, will you go? The Emperor looks down into his cup. If leaving saves more humans than staying, I must, he says, even if it hurts. That is my law. And if staying saves more, she presses, then I will argue with myself, he says, a faint smile touching his lips. I am not as patient with me as I should be. The hunter raises an eyebrow. My Thewan is not a person above me, the Emperor explains. It is the part of me that sees the whole, the big picture. This shard sees the people in front of it. That makes my heart heavy when the big picture demands a hard choice. The handler hugs her knees. Feels like when the guild makes a rule that hurts one village to save 10, she says. And we're in the one village. Yes, he says. The hunter looks up at the stars. They think of all the monsters they have killed. Some were great threats. Some were only in the wrong place. They think of how they felt each time they carved a body. They never hated the beasts. They respected them. They also think of the Emperor carving the sky. They know he feels weight. The next day, the air grows hotter. They enter the Elder's recess again, but this time through a different path, one mapped by Wyverians long ago. The crystals here are larger. Some hang like huge bells. Others stick up like spears. The Everstream's hum is now a roar in their bones. At a certain point, the Wyverian Elder raises his staff. "Here," he says, "this is as far as we go as a group." Beyond, a narrow bridge of rock crosses a chasm full of glowing mist. On the other side lies a wide platform of crystal and stone, overlooking the unseen lake below. "This is the place where sky and stream touch," the Elder says. "Our old stories say that when the world was young, the first Elder Dragons came here to hear the voice of the land. Today, a different voice will speak." The commander's voice crackles through a small device on the Seeker's belt. "We're linked," he says. "We'll hear what we can. But this is mainly between Emperor and Emperor." The Emperor steps toward the bridge. The handler grabs his arm. "Hey," she says. "One last thing. When you talk to your throne, can you tell it we matter? Not as numbers, as people, as your people." He looks at her hand on his arm, at her eyes. "I will," he says. He walks onto the bridge. The blue cracks in his armor glow brighter with each step. The air around him shimmers. The Everstream below rises in mist, touching his boots. Halfway across, the world twists. Time seems to slow. A figure steps out of the mist ahead of him on the bridge. It wears golden armor like his. It carries a sword like his. Its face is his, but younger. No cracks, no blue lines. The halo above its head burns brighter. "Finally," the mirror says. Its voice is the Emperor's, but lighter, almost amused. "I thought you would never stop walking in circles." The Emperor stops. "Xeno'jiiva's work," he says. "A reflection. How clever." The mirror shakes his head. "Not Xeno," he says. "You. I am what you could be here if you let go of your limits, if you give up the throne and fully incarnate. No more half-life, no more sitting on a chair of corpses, just power, here and now." Mirror phobie. It smiles. "Call me the free Emperor," it says, "because that is what I am." The real Emperor's hand tightens on his sword. "You are a dream," he says, "a trap in my mind." "Maybe," the free Emperor says, "but I speak truth. You felt it in the cocoon, didn't you? That taste of pure, clear victory. No chaos, no warp. Just a clean world that you rule with ease. You could have it here." He gestures toward the unseen lake. "Pour your light into this world," he says. "Let the throne die. Let terror fade. The Imperium is a cruel, broken thing anyway, a cage of fear. Here, you could do it right. Start again. Protect a smaller number of humans well instead of trillions poorly. Quality over quantity." The Emperor feels the sting. He has seen the Imperium twisted into a nightmare in his name. He knows that in many places, his image is used to justify horror. This world, so clean of warp, is more peaceful than many parts of his realm, even after the monsters are counted. He hears, faintly, the prayers of his people across the stars. He also hears the quiet breathing of hunters behind him. The free Emperor steps closer. The air around him does not leak Everstream energy. His light is pure gold, untouched by blue. He looks stronger. "Xeno'jiiva is a tool," the free Emperor says. "Born by accident, yes, but you could shape it. It loves you. It wants you. Bind it as a pet. Use it to guard this world and tear a hole in reality wide enough to pull any humans you like through. Save those you choose. Let the rest of the galaxy fend for itself." His eyes burn. "This is the honest version of what you already want," he says. "You tell yourself you care for every soul. But you cannot save them all. Stop lying. Save the ones you can reach, and stop burning yourself for a hopeless mass. The real Emperor's heart twists. He steps forward. The air between them crackles. No, he says softly. I will not become a god of favorites. The free Emperor's smile fades. Then prove your code is more than words, he says. Try to pass me. He lifts his sword. They clash on the bridge. The first strike shakes the whole cavern. Golden light flares as sword meets sword. The bridge under their feet cracks, but does not break. Mist explodes outward. The free Emperor moves like a version of him who has never been wounded. His strikes are faster, his steps lighter. Each swing of his blade leaves a trail of bright arcs. The real Emperor moves with heavier, more careful blows. He feels the blue scars in his armor pulse with each impact. They drink some of the force. They also leak more energy into the air. The everstream below surges. Hunters on the near side of the bridge stagger as the ground trembles. The Wyverian elder grips his staff tighter. What is happening? The handler cries. His inner fight, the elder says. He fights himself. On the bridge, the free Emperor laughs. Look at you, he says, as their swords lock. Every time you swing, you feed the dragon. You can't even fight yourself without harming this world. You are clumsy here. I am not. He shoves the real Emperor back and slams his blade down. A wave of pure gold force rushes along the bridge toward the shard. It does not leak blue. Somehow, the free Emperor's attack does not feed the everstream. The real Emperor throws up a shield. The wave hits. His shield holds, but his blue scars flare, and another drip of light falls into the mist below. The free Emperor presses the attack. Give up the leash, he says between strikes. Cut the link to the throne. Free yourself from their prayers and their demands. You could be whole again. You could walk instead of sit. Fight instead of rot. He feints, then drives his sword toward the shard's chest. The Emperor parries, but too slow. The blade slices across his side. For a second, there is no pain. Then blue fire blooms from the cut. It is not normal blood. It is everstream-infused light. It splashes into the mist. The entire cavern shudders. In the depths, xeno'jiiva stirs and drinks. The Emperor gasps. He feels his far-off body on the throne jolt. The Astronomican's light flickers again. Warp storms twist. See, the free Emperor says, you cannot even bleed safely. He raises his sword for a killing blow. At that moment, the world screams. A beam of raw white gold light stabs down from above, through rock and crystal, through the ceiling of the cavern, into the space between them. It is the throne. For a heartbeat, the shards of both emperors are frozen in that light. The free Emperor snarls, eyes burning. Stay out of this, he spits upward. The beam does not answer. It simply holds. A voice fills both their minds. Enough, the throne says. The free Emperor trembles. Cracks appear in his perfect armor. Underneath, blue veins show. You are not free, the throne tells him. You are only the shard that gave in. You cannot exist without the whole, and the whole does not choose you. The free Emperor's face twists in rage. You cling to a dying empire, he hisses. You love the idea of saving all more than the reality of saving some. Better that, the throne replies, than abandoning billions for the comfort of a few. Go back to your cocoon, little dream. The beam tightens. The free Emperor screams as his golden light peels away, revealing his true core. A knot of xeno'jiiva's hunger dressed in the Emperor's shape. It writhes as the throne burns it. It flees down into the mist like smoke sucked into a vent. The real Emperor falls to one knee, panting. The beam softens around him. "Reach the throne," the voice says. "We will speak there. Do not fight your shadow on the bridge again. It will always lead down." The beam fades. Time speeds back up. On the far side of the bridge, the hunter and handler stare. To their eyes, the Emperor took 3 steps out, froze in a flash of light, then dropped to his knee. The handler runs forward. "Are you okay?" she calls. The Wyverian elder holds her back. "Let him cross," he says. "He must finish the walk." The Emperor stands. He presses a hand to his side. The cut is still there, but the blue fire has stopped spilling. The throne's beam has sealed it, for now. He walks the rest of the bridge. Each step feels like an oath. He reaches the wide platform beyond. It looks like a natural stone and crystal ledge at first. Then the light changes. Golden lines appear on the floor, forming a double-headed eagle. Pillars rise from nothing, made of the same crystal as the cocoon below, but shaped into tall, straight columns like those in the imperial palace. Between the pillars stand silent figures. They are not really here, but the mind sees them. Custodians in shining armor, sisters of battle in black and red, imperial guard officers in worn coats, a Rogel dawn-like shape, a Robut Gilliman-like shadow, all the symbols of human war. They do not speak. They simply watch. In the center of the platform, a smaller version of the golden throne rises. It is not fully real. It is a focus. Upon it, the throne emperor appears, as he did in the dream, withered, bound, eyes blazing. The shard emperor stands before himself. "This is our court," the throne says. "Speak your case." The shard kneels. "I came to protect humans on a new world," he says. "I saw danger and moved. I saved many. I also made a new threat. Xeno'jiiva now eats my light. I am marked. I cannot act freely without feeding it." "You tempted yourself with escape," the throne says, "and you saw a twisted self who would choose comfort over duty. This is what happens when you move without limits." The shard bows his head lower. "What do you judge?" he asks. The throne is silent for a long time. When it speaks, its voice is softer. "You did not give in," it says. "You bled rather than betray the many for the few. That is still who we are. That matters." The eyes burn brighter. "But you cannot be trusted with full range here. Not anymore. Your wound makes you too dangerous." The shard nods. "Then chain me," he says. The custodians and guards around the platform lift their weapons. "We will set 3 limits," the throne says. "First, you may not open the warp fully in this world again. No great rifts, no suns. The fabric here is not made for it. If you try, I will cut you off." The shard accepts this. "So be it," he says. "Second," the throne goes on, "your large acts of power will be counted. Each one will dim the Astronomicon for a measure of time. You will feel the cost. If you spend too much, your link will snap and you will die here. We will not make a new shard." The shard swallows. "Understood," he says. "Third," the throne says, "when you face xeno'jiiva again, you must not try to kill it alone. You must act as part of the hunt, not as its master. You will use your strength only to open chances for the hunters. They will deal the true blows." The shard hesitates. He is used to leading, to being the main weapon. "Do you agree?" the throne asks. There is iron in the voice. The shard looks up. He sees the faces of hunters behind him. He sees terror in his mind. He sees xeno'jiiva's cocoon. He knows he cannot do this alone without risking all. "I agree," he says. Golden chains of light appear around his wrists for a moment, then sink into his skin. They are not real, but he feels them. Then I give you a new mandate, the throne says. You are not a conquering god here. You are a sanctioned agent, a hunter among hunters. Your code remains, every human soul matters, but you must match it with a new law. No victory that breaks the pattern of the world. The shard repeats the words. No victory that breaks the pattern of the world, he says. The throne's eyes soften, just a fraction. Remember, it says, you are not alone. We are still with you, even here. The light dims. Now go. The child waits, and so do our people. The vision fades. The platform is once again just stone and crystal, though the faint outline of the eagle remains burned into the floor. The Emperor stands alone. He feels different, lighter in some ways. He knows his limits now. He knows he cannot simply do anything. That makes his next choices clearer. He turns and walks back toward the bridge. On the near side, the hunter, handler, wyverian, elder, and others wait. The handler chews her lip. Well, she asks as he steps off the bridge. What did your throne say? The Emperor looks at her. I am on a shorter leash now, he says. But it is the right one. She snorts. Welcome to being like the rest of us, she says. We've had leashes from the guild forever. The wyverian elder watches him closely. Do you still plan to fight for this world? He asks. Yes, the Emperor says, but not as its god, as its ally. The field team leader nods. Good, he says, because we have work to do. That cavern collapsed. We need a new path to Xeno's nest. The Seeker is already sketching. I have ideas, he mutters. We can use natural vents. Maybe bait Nergigante. Maybe... The commander's voice crackles from the device. Report, he says. The Emperor lifts it. I am bound, he says. I can still fight. But there are rules now. I will explain them when I return. We will use them to our advantage. He looks toward the deep glow. Because the child below is still growing, he says, and it has seen my chains. Power scaling interlude Series 2. From now on, the Emperor can only use large battlefield-shaping powers a few times before his link to the Golden Throne fails. Each such act briefly blinds the Astronomicon and feeds xeno'jiiva if misused. He can still use small, precise abilities, short shields, quick steps, focused senses, without major cost, but any direct energy attack on xeno'jiiva will heal it unless hunters first break its Everstream anchors. His new mandate forces him to act as support and strategist, not as sole weapon, making coordination with the monster hunter teams the key to victory. The days after the throne bridge are thick with waiting. Astera runs as always. Hunts go out. Palicos cook. Weapons are forged. But under it all, there is a tight note, like a bowstring pulled back. The Everstream readings creep higher. xeno'jiiva is almost ready to hatch. In the strategy room, maps of the Elder's Recess are covered in new lines. The Seeker and Wyverians have found another way down to the lake, a series of vents and side caverns that come out above the collapsed cocoon chamber. The Emperor stands at the table with the Commander, Admiral, Ecological Chief, Wyverian Elder, Field Team Leader, Hunter, and Handler. This is where we strike, the Seeker says, tapping a red circle. The roof above xeno'jiiva's nest. We drop in, break its anchors, and force it into a form we can hit. Anchors? The handler asks. The ecological chief points at a sketch. We now believe xeno'jiiva is held and fed by 4 major Everstream pillars, he says. Crystals that rise from the lake into its cocoon. They feed energy in and carry it out. He circles 4 points around a central shape. If we break those pillars, he says, it loses its main food. It can still absorb some energy from the air, but not enough to heal from every hit. It will have to hatch fully and fight in the open. That's our chance. And if we don't break them, the Admiral asks. Then every blow we land just makes it stronger, the Chief says. Even normal ones. It will recycle all the heat and shock back into Everstream flow. The commander looks at the Emperor. Your job? He asks. The Emperor nods. I will stand at the edge of the lake, he says. I will use my senses to mark each anchor for the hunters. I will shield you from its beams when I can, and cut its reach into your minds. He meets the Chief's eyes. I will not strike its body with raw power, he says. Not unless the anchors are gone. Even then, I will only use enough to open a window for a hunter's blow. The Wyverian elder tilts his head. And your chains? He asks. They hold, the Emperor says. I can feel them. If I try to open the warp or throw a sun, they will tighten. If I do too much, the link to my throne will snap. I will die here, and the Imperium will lose its light. The room absorbs that. So your life, the commander says, and the safe travel of your whole empire depend on you staying within your rules. Yes, the Emperor says. Good, the Wyverian elder says quietly. Rules make hunters honest. Up to now, the Emperor has seen xeno'jiiva, been bitten and marked, faced a free version of himself, and accepted chains from his throne. The new world has a path to the dragon's nest, but the final choice about where the Emperor belongs is not yet made. That night, before they leave, the Emperor sits on a rooftop in Estera. The stars above are clear. He closes his eyes. At once, he is back on the crystal platform in his mind, before the throne. The chains around his wrists glow softly. You asked to be bound, the throne says. Now one more choice remains. The air shifts. 3 doorways appear in front of him, made of light. 3 paths, the throne says. Look and understand. He steps toward the first door. Inside he sees terror. The golden throne burns bright. His shard in the new world fades like smoke. xeno'jiiva hatches below the Elder's recess. Hunters fight it with everything they have. Dragonators, cannons, traps, their own skill. Many die. Estera is nearly destroyed, but without his leaking light, xeno'jiiva grows slower. The hunters find its weak points by long trial. Years pass. The land is scarred, but it survives. The Everstream settles into a new pattern. He sees the handler older, with a limp and a scar over one eye. He sees the hunter with grey hair, missing an arm, still fighting. He also sees the Imperium. The Astronomicon burns steady. Ships travel. His people hold their ground against chaos, just as they always have. This is the path of return, the throne says. You pull back your shard now. The new world bleeds, but lives. The Imperium keeps its light. You never see this world again. The memory fades with the shard. The Emperor steps back. He moves to the second door. Inside, he sees himself cut the chains. His shard merges fully with his far body. The golden throne goes dark. The corpse slumps. The Astronomicon dies. All of his being pours into the new world. He becomes the free Emperor. He stands in the sky over the Elder's recess, blazing like a sun. xeno'jiiva hatches and shrieks in delight. He binds it with chains of gold and blue. It becomes his pet, his lens. He tears a hole in reality wide enough for planets to see. He pulls human worlds, or parts of them, through into this clean realm. He shapes a small empire here. No warp, no chaos. Tight, high walls. Billions live well. Trillions die in the dark he leaves behind. Chaos gods howl with glee as the Imperium falls apart. This is the path of free agent, the throne says. You abandon your wider duty for a garden. You save some very well. You let many more be devoured. The Emperor's hands shake. He steps to the third door. Inside he sees both lights. He keeps his chains. He goes down with the hunters to xeno'jiiva. He uses his power with care. He nearly dies. The Astronomicon flickers and storms rage, but the Imperium holds. They cut the anchors. They kill the dragon. The Everstream heals. He sees himself after the battle, still a shard, still linked to the throne. He can visit the New World again, but only under strict rules. The link costs power each time. Some hunts fail without him. Some people die he could have saved with one big blast, but the pattern of the world stays whole. And the Imperium, he asks. He sees it, still harsh, still full of war, but slightly brighter, as if knowing that somewhere, in one small world, a better balance was found. This is the path of sanctioned servant, the throne says. You serve both realms under law. You accept that you cannot save everyone. You fight anyway. The Emperor looks at all three. All of them hurt. Choose, the throne says. Its voice is calm. There is no trick here. Any path you pick, I will enforce. The Emperor closes his eyes. When he opens them, he looks at the second door. He sees again the safe, small empire, the bright, clean sky, the hunters alive and laughing under his watch. It is tempting. He turns away. He looks at the first door. He sees the handler's limp, the hunter's missing arm, the graves. He could spare the Imperium much pain by taking this path. He could keep his light strong. But he feels in his core that turning away now would break something in him he cannot mend. He looks at the third door. It is the hardest. So he steps through. I choose sanctioned servant, he says. Bound, between worlds, under rules, not a god, a hunter with a bigger field. The chains around his wrists flare. Then it is written, the throne says. A wave of light passes over him. The blue cracks in his armor shift. They are still there, but no longer wild. They form a pattern like flowing water, like the Everstream itself. His golden light and the blue fuse into a stable shape. A new sigil appears on his chest. The double-headed eagle of the Imperium spreads its wings. Around it, the circular, stylized dragon and compass emblem of the Hunters Guild wraps like a ring. The eagle's claws grip the ring. The ring steadies the eagle. The throne's voice softens. Go, it says. Do your work. When you call, I will hear. When you overreach, I will pull you back. This is our bond. The vision fades. On the rooftop in Astera, the Emperor opens his eyes. The hunter and handler who came up to bring him food freeze. Ah, partner, the handler whispers. His armor changed. The hunter stares at his chest. The new sigil glows softly in the night. A sun eagle held by a dragon ring. The Emperor looks down at it. This world, he says, and mine, now share a sign. He stands. Tomorrow, he says, we finish this. The final assault begins with quiet. The path through the upper vents of the Elder's recess is narrow. They move one by one. The Emperor, the hunter and handler, the field team leader, the seeker. Two more elite hunters with heavy weapons, a small Palico squad. The Wyverian Elder stays above with a speaking device and a map, guiding them. Left at the next fork, his calm voice says. Then down. Watch for loose crystals. The Everstream's hum grows louder with each step. At last, they reach a wide opening in the cavern roof. Below, the lake glows like a blue sun. The collapsed chamber has partly rebuilt itself. The crystals moved, grown, and fused. The cocoon is gone. In its place, standing in the middle of the lake on four massive legs, is xeno'jiiva. It is hatched. Its body is huge, more graceful than Zora's bulk, more slender than Nergigante's brute shape. Its skin is clear crystal, shot with blue veins of light. Inside, raw energy flows like blood. Wings of glass spread wide, dripping power. Its eyes are open. They glow a hard, bright blue. The 4 anchors rise from the lake around it, crystal pillars that run up into its chest and belly. Everstream streams along them into the dragon, pulsing. As they watch, xeno'jiiva takes a breath. The lake dims slightly. Its body glows brighter. The Emperor feels it sense him. Its head lifts. It looks up toward the vent where they hide. The thread between them is not a straight line anymore. It is a net. He feels it tug at his chains and find no gap. In his mind, a thought presses. "You came back," it says. "Good. I am so hungry." The Emperor ignores the voice. He gestures to the others. "Positions," he says quietly. They spread out along the vent edge. The Seeker sets a signal flare and a Wyvernator trigger. The heavy hunters prepare specialized ammo. The Palicos ready shock traps and bombs, even though no one is sure if those will work on something like this. The field team leader looks at the Emperor. "Your call," he says. "This is your hunt too." The Emperor nods. "First we starve it," he says. "Then we strike." He steps to the edge and leaps. This time, he does not make big golden platforms. He uses short, tight jumps, small steps in the air. Each is a tiny flash, not a beam. They cost little. He lands on a floating crystal slab near the lake's edge. xeno'jiiva roars. The sound is not just noise, it is pressure. The lake ripples, crystals shake. Dust falls from the roof. The dragon opens its mouth. A beam of pure white-blue energy fires toward him. He does not block it head-on. He sidesteps with a short teleport, appearing on another crystal. The beam hits the rock wall instead and sinks into it. The wall glows, then sends the power back into the lake. "See!" The ecological chief's voice crackles faintly in the handler's ear above. It recycles even missed shots. "We have to break the system." The Emperor closes his eyes for a second. He reaches out with his senses. The anchors blaze in his mind like spears of light. "There," he says, pointing. "North pillar. Weak point at the base. And there. West pillar, middle joint. If you shatter those points, the flow will jam." The field team leader signals. "Go!" he shouts. The hunter dives from the vent. They fall past xeno'jiiva's back, heat licking at their armor. They fire their slinger mid-drop, swing on a grapple, and land on the first pillar in a shower of shards. They raise their greatsword. One charge strike. Crystal cracks. Everstream sputters. xeno'jiiva screams and lashes its tail. The Emperor flicks his wrist. A small hard shield appears for a moment between tail and hunter. The tail hits it and glances off, missing by a hand's width. The shield pops like a soap bubble, its power spent. Up in the vent, the Seeker fires a piercing shot at the second marked joint. The bullet drills into the crystal and detonates with a focused dragon element charge. The second pillar fractures. The lake's light dims a shade. Hunters cheer. xeno'jiiva roars in rage. It spreads its wings. Columns of energy shoot up from the lake around it, forming a cage of beams. The pattern sweeps toward the crystals where the Emperor stands. He cannot block it all. He chooses. He throws a shield not over himself, but over the path the hunter must take to get to the next pillar. The beams slam into his own platform. Crystal shatters under him. For a moment, he falls. He catches himself with a short jump, landing on a lower rock, armor ringing. Blue light leaks from his cracks in thin lines. He keeps going. "Third anchor," he calls. South side. Weak at the top. Hurry. It is shifting pattern. xeno'jiiva's eyes flare. In his mind, the voice presses again. Why? It asks. Why starve yourself? We can feast, you and I. Just open. His chains glow. He feels the pull, but it cannot get in. He answers with a simple thought. Because you would eat more than me, he says. You would eat them. The dragon shrieks and sends a focused beam straight at the vent. The seeker barely dives clear. The beam blasts through the rock, sending shards flying. The handler yelps as a piece grazes her arm. The palicos cling to the stone. Wyvernata, the field team leader yells. The seeker slams his hand down on the trigger. From the vent ceiling, 2 huge metal spikes shoot down on thick chains. They slam into xeno'jiiva's shoulders, driving into crystal flesh. For a second, the dragon is pinned. The heavy hunters pop out of cover and let loose with their weapons. Shells explode along the 3rd anchor. The hunter, now on that pillar, slams their greatsword down again and again. The 3rd pillar snaps. Light sputters. The lake grows dimmer. Up on the surface world, in a night sky far away, the Astronomicon flickers as the Emperor's small axe adds up. Warp storms grow louder. On the golden throne, the true Emperor grits his teeth and holds the link. Stay within your count, he sends down the chain. Do not spend the last act yet. Only 1 anchor remains. xeno'jiiva tears itself loose from the Wyvernator spikes. Wings beat. It rises halfway out of the lake, hover gliding on raw energy. Its tail sweeps, smashing platforms. Its claws rake the rock walls. The hunter is thrown from the pillar, falling toward the glowing water. The Emperor sees it. He has a choice. He can do a big act now, freeze the lake, catch the hunter with a wide golden hand. It will save them. It will also feed xeno'jiiva a feast of power and spend his last safe use. He chooses a smaller, harder move. He appears in the air with a short jump, right beside the falling hunter. He grabs their arm with one hand and jams his sword into a passing crystal with the other. The blade bites. They swing together, slamming into a rock shelf. The impact hurts, but they live. A thin trickle of blue light spills from his cracks at the strain. He ignores it. The hunter staggers upright and nods once. No words needed. They move again. Up in Astera, the commander grips the railing. How are we looking? He barks at the ecological chief. The chief stares at shaking needles. 3 anchors down, he says. Xeno's energy is wobbling, but our Emperor is not good. His leaking signature is all over the Everstream. If he uses one big blast wrong now, we're done. Then he won't, the commander says firmly. He gave us his code. The Wyverian elder, listening by speaking stone, closes his eyes and whispers a small prayer. Not to any god, but to the pattern of the world itself. Hold, he says. All of you, hold. Down at the lake, xeno'jiiva gathers power for a huge attack. Its chest glows white hot. The last anchor flares, pumping everything into it. The dragon tilts its head back and opens its mouth. A beam thicker than a house starts to form. The Emperor feels it. This beam is not like the others. This one will not recycle. This is an overload. If it fires, it will punch a hole through the land, up to the surface, maybe higher. It could open a crack between this world and his warp. He cannot let it fire. He also cannot cut it with a soft touch. This is the moment his last big act was meant for. The chains on his wrists burn. He lifts his sword. In his mind, he hears the throne. Now, it says. Once, make it clean. He breathes in. He swings. This is not a blast at the dragon. It is a cut at the beam itself. Gold light and blue Everstream power twist around his blade as he draws a line through the air between xeno'jiiva's chest and the sky. For a second, time stretches. The forming beam hits the line. It splits. Half of it is sent back into the dragon's own body, not as food, but as overload. The other half is diverted sideways into the already broken anchors and far harmless rock. The last pillar shatters under the shock. Xeno'jiiva screams. Its own pent-up energy burns through the paths that once fed it. The everstream around it boils and then snaps, no longer under its control. The cost hits the Emperor like a hammer. His link to the throne flares white. In the warp, the Astronomicon goes dark for a long, terrible heartbeat. Ships cry out as they lose their light. Chaos storms surge. On Terra, Psychers die in droves to feed the spike. The throne holds. The chains around the Shard Emperor's wrists sear, then cool. He drops to one knee, vision grey. Below, xeno'jiiva staggers. Its anchors are gone. Its feet sink into the lake like it is suddenly mud. Its wings falter. For the first time, its glow dims in ways it cannot control. "This is it," the field team leader shouts. "All hunters now. Aim for the chest core." The hunter roars wordlessly and charges. They run along a crystal bridge that is cracking with every step. They leap onto a jutting shard near xeno'jiiva's front. The dragon lowers its head, jaws opening to bite. A palico, of all things, saves the moment. It zips forward on a tiny glider, slaps a flash bomb right in front of the dragon's face and pops it. A burst of blinding white explodes. Xeno'jiiva recoils, stunned. For 2 heartbeats, its chest core is wide open. The Emperor forces himself to stand. He cannot throw another big power. The chains will kill him, but he can still do small things. He reaches out with a tiny, precise twist of time and space around the hunter. For the hunter, the world slows just a bit, just enough. They feel their feet grip the unstable shard. They feel their muscles coil and release at exactly the right moment. They jump. The greatsword comes down in a full, perfect charge swing. The blade slams into xeno'jiiva's glowing chest. Crystal cracks. Light bursts out. The dragon gives a sound that is more like a question than a roar. Then it starts to fall. Its body collapses inward, all that stolen energy suddenly free with nowhere to go. The lake flashes white. Crystals explode. "Down!" someone screams. The Emperor does not move away. He plants his sword in the ground and raises both hands. He cannot stop the explosion. He can shape it. Instead of a ball of raw death, he guides the rush into tall, thin columns that shoot straight up into the rock above. The beams drill vents, then spread out into the sky far above, breaking into harmless auroras. The remaining energy in the lake he pushes down and out, spreading it along the everstream like rain returning to a river after a storm. His arms shake. Blue and gold light pour from his cracks. For a moment, he's sure he will break. The chains around his wrist glow, then cool, then settle. The explosion fades. Silence. The chamber is half collapsed, but still there. The lake now glows with a softer light. No hungry pull, just a steady shine. xeno'jiiva's body lies in the center. It is no longer clear and blazing. It has turned to dull crystal stone. The glow inside has gone out. The hunter stands across its chest, sword still embedded in the cracked core. They pull it free and drop to one knee, panting. Palicos cheer weakly. On the far shore, the field team leader lets out a long breath. "Target down," he says. "I repeat, target down." Up on the surface, Astera explodes in shouts of joy as the news comes through. The Emperor stands slowly. His armor is scorched. The blue everstream lines on it are dimmer now, folded into stable channels. They no longer leak. The new sigil on his chest burns bright. a sun eagle in a dragon ring. He looks at xeno'jiiva's corpse. He feels for any echo of its mind. There is none. It is done, he says. They climb back to Astera over the next day. The land feels different. The Everstream's hum is calmer, like a deep breath let out. Elder dragon tracks shift. Some lines on the ecological chief's charts vanish, others bend. Back at the base, the whole commission gathers. Hunters from all fleets, palicos with banners, wyverians, researchers, smiths. The commander stands on the main deck. The emperor stands beside him. The hunter and handler at his other side. The commander's voice carries, "Xeno'jiiva is dead," he says simply. "The Everstream lives. The new world stands." Cheers shake the air. He raises a hand for quiet. "We did not do this alone," he says. He looks at the emperor. "We had help from a very strange hunter." A ripple of laughter. The commander's face stays serious. "But he did not win this fight by doing everything for us," he says. "He did not burn the land to save us. He did not make us pets. He fought with us, under rules, under limits. That is why we are still here, and the world still makes sense." He nods to the emperor. "Tell them," he says, "your conditions." The emperor steps forward. Hundreds of eyes look up at him. He speaks in a clear, even tone. "I am the emperor of mankind," he says. "Far away, my true body sits upon a throne of gold. Its light guides my people through a dark sea. I sent a shard of myself here to guard you when I saw your danger." He touches the sigil on his chest. "I have been bound," he goes on, "by my own greater will, by the laws of my world. I am no longer free to do as I please here." He lifts a hand, fingers spread. "First," he says, "I will not open great rifts or throw suns in this sky. I will not tear your world to fix it. That kind of power has no place here. Second," he says, "every large act I do still costs my people far away. It dims the light they use to live. I will only spend such acts when many lives stand on a knife edge, and there is no other way. Third," he says, "I will not join your normal hunts. I will not help you carve every monster. You do not need me for that. You are hunters. This is your land. I will only step in when the pattern of the world itself is at risk, when something like xeno'jiiva appears, or when powers from my realm try to break in. Fourth," he says, "when we face such threats, I will act as your ally, not your master. I will use my strength to open chances. You will strike. I will listen to those who know this land better than I." He looks over them. "And fifth," he says, "I will show mercy when I can. Monsters that are part of your natural cycle will not be wiped out because I find them ugly or strange. Humans who err will be judged with wisdom, not rage. I will not become another monster of light." He bows his head slightly. "These are my rules," he says. "This is my oath as your sanctioned servant." The crowd is quiet for a moment. Then the handler starts clapping. It spreads. Soon, all of Astera is cheering. The wyverian elder smiles, a deep, tired smile. "A son with a leash," he murmurs. "Good." Later, in the workshop, a smith stamps a new emblem onto a chest plate meant for a special set of armor. The double-headed eagle, simplified, wrapped in the guild's hunter-dragon circle. "Star Hunter set," he mutters, "for the one who hunts the things even elder dragons fear." In the weeks that follow, the world reacts. Deep in the old world, in a guild hall carved of stone and lined with old trophies, elders read reports from the new world. One elder frowns at a sketch of the emperor. "A human god who fights under rules," she says. "Interesting." Another elder taps the new sigil, and he respects the pattern, he says. We will not ban him, but we will watch. They send back a simple message. Record all contact. Do not treat him as a god. Treat him as an ally. Far away on Terra, the High Lords feel the Astronomican's scars. A lord of the Inquisition, hood shadowing his face, reads strange reports. Odd fluctuations, he murmurs. Spikes not tied to known wars. Dreams of clean skies among some psychers. He looks toward the golden throne. You meddle, old man, he says softly, even now. He files the reports away, for now. In the warp, things stir. A chaos god of change tastes the clean cut the Emperor made through xeno'jiiva's beam and snarls. It hates any pattern it did not plan. It sends some small twisting thoughts toward the new world, testing. They slide off. The Everstream, once a simple river of life, now carries a faint trace of the Emperor's ordered light. Not enough to make it a weapon, just enough to make it less easy to twist. For now, the warp cannot find a good handhold. At the bottom of the empty xeno'jiiva chamber, a tiny shard of crystal glows for a moment, then fades. No new dragon rises, not yet. Life in Astra settles into a new normal. Hunters still hunt. The Emperor still walks the decks. Sometimes he helps in small, surprising ways. He will stand in the forge for an hour, holding heated metal in his bare hand instead of using tongs, so the smiths can shape it just right. He will sit in the canteen, listening to palicos meow about their recipes, and nod with strange seriousness. He never joins normal quests. When a hunter asks, "Can you help me farm Rathalos plates faster?" he shakes his head. "That is your trial," he says, "not mine." But when odd signs appear, sudden Everstream ripples, shared nightmares, monsters acting in ways that do not fit their nature, he is there at the war table, eyes sharp. He helps plan. He rarely draws his full blade. One evening, a small scene plays out on a lower deck. A rookie hunter sits alone, staring at a broken weapon. They went out without care. They almost died. Their hands shake. The Emperor sits beside them. For a minute, they say nothing. "You are afraid," he says at last. The hunter nods. "I thought, with you here," they mumble. "We couldn't lose. I got sloppy. My palico got hurt." They swallow. "You can't protect us from our own mistakes, can you?" "No," he says, "and I should not. If I catch you every time you fall, you will never learn to stand." They frown. "But you are the Emperor," they say. "Aren't you supposed to save us?" He looks out at the sea. "I am supposed to give you a chance," he says, "not a cage. I will stand against the things no normal hunter can face. You must still face the rest." The hunter looks at their broken blade. "So we share the job," they say. "You take the sky monsters. We take the ground ones." He smiles slightly. "Yes," he says. "Something like that." The hunter breathes out and nods. They go back to the forge to fix their weapon. On a high platform, the handler leans on a railing, watching the lights. She hugs herself for warmth and looks up at the Emperor's new sigil carved into a banner above the command deck. "You know," she says to the hunter at her side, "when he first fell out of the sky, I thought he'd either save everything or break everything." The hunter grunts. She smiles. "Instead, he became another part of everything," she says. "A big, shiny, scary part, but still part." The hunter nods. They look up as the Emperor walks past on his rounds, cloak glowing faintly in the dusk. Somewhere deep below, the Everstream hums in tune with his steps. In the dark between stars, ships feel the Astronomican's light steady again, with a small, strange flavor mixed in, a hint of clean dragon fire. Codex note: In both Imperial records and the Guild's forbidden archives, the Emperor's New World mandate is written as follows. He may act only to guard the pattern of life against unnatural ruin, never to rule it, and his hand must always leave enough of the world unbroken that hunters can still hunt and humans can still choose.